Hi, Julien, Stoutt here, licensed personal trainer, licensed PE teacher, here to help you be the best you. What we're talking about today specifically is the impact of obesity and why is it that I am so dead set on talking about this issue and making sure that everybody understands exactly why I fight the good fight to make sure everybody achieves the body that they need to be in. Number one, because it affects me greatly from a personal standpoint because I feel the effects of it because I'm married to an obese woman, but on top of that, I've lost family members due to obesity, and it hits home a lot for me because of that simple fact. But on top of that, while I'm telling you that I want to fight the good fight for obesity, the truth is that I don't think personally people are as obese as we think they are. So the reason why I say that is this. Most of the standards that are used in order to determine whether or not somebody is in fact obese is still used via BMI. Now, the problem with that is that if we're just going by simply height over weight and we're not accounting for muscle mass, we are going to run into a serious issue down the road because we are miscalculating exactly who is exactly obese. Now, from the definition that I understand what obesity is anybody with a body fat percentage over 30%, female, male is 25%. And anybody over those capacities is considered obese. And the reason why they use that criteria personally is because as we get older, we gain visceral body fat, therefore our body fat tends to increase over time, but at the same time, our muscle mass also shrinks as well. So therefore, if we don't do the due diligence to exactly get ourselves where we need to be muscular-wise and allow for that body fat percentage to increase because of visceral fat, which is the fat surrounding your organs, you are going to end up being diagnosed as clinically obese. So, for instance, right now I'm walking around at about 18% body fat, and believe it or not, if I was to, pick my shirt up, people would probably mistake me to something closer to about 15%. But because I'm older, my body fat percentage increases due to the nature of the fact that I do have more visceral fat than someone who is half my age. So as a result, I try to keep my body fat down relatively low, but at the same time, I know that it's going to be a lot more difficult because of the visceral body fat that I carry. But without further ado, the thing is that I want y'all to understand is that these statistics that I'm about to pull up comes directly from the CDC website. And while we might be misguided in the full capacity and scope of where obesity really lies, I challenge us to see where that really is. The numbers can't be denied as to who it affects and how much it affects these people. So what we're going to do is I'm going to turn around, I'm going to go over to the CDC website real quick, and you guys are going to be able to read this for yourselves because I'm going to read along with you, but at the same time, you guys are going to get an opportunity to see exactly the things that I look up, the things that I read in order to gain the information that I gain. But I also think critically because I do still know that they use BMI as their measurement of body fat. I should say not body fat, but overweight and obesity. So let's get to it real quick. So it says the U.S. obesity prevalence was 41.9% in 2017 through March 2020. So that means 41.9% of the United States population is considered obese due to BMI. Now, how much of us are really actually considered obese due to the nature of our physicality? That's yet to be known. So from 1999 to 2000 through 2017 March 2020, U.S. obesity prevalence increased from 30% to 41.9%. During the same time, the prevalence of severe obesity increased from 4.7% to 9.2%. So what that means is that even if we don't consider 41% of the population to be obese, the truth is, at this point in time, even if we don't consider that, 4.7 to 9.2%. That means we're very close to 10% of the United States population being severely obese. All right. So obesity affects some groups more than others, and non-Hispanic Black adults, 49.9% had the highest age-adjusted prevalency of obesity, followed by Hispanic adults, 45.6%, and non-Hispanic whites at 41.4%. Excuse me. So, at this point in time, they consider half of all African Americans to be 49.9%, half of all Black adults in the United States of America to be considered obese. 40% of white people and 45.6% of all Hispanics. The obesity prevalence was 39.8% among adults aged 20 to 39 years. So if you're young, 40% of you are obese. 44% among adults aged 40 to 59 years, so in our middle ages, we're actually fatter. And among adults 60 and older, we actually reduce down by just under 3%. So that means us Generation Xers, us, Zillennials, and our late baby boomers are actually the fattest in the country, which means we are not taking good care of ourselves. Why is that? Obesity and socioeconomic status states that overall men and women with college degrees had a lower obesity prevalence compared with those with less education. So what it's suggesting is that the more educated you are, the more likely you're going to make better choices with what you eat, and the less likely you are to actually be obese, regardless. But the thing is, you have to understand that at this point, is that people are not taking good care of themselves. And what is the motivation for not taking good care of yourself? Because you're always on the go. You're too busy. You're running around with your head cuts off, and you're not doing what is necessary to take better care of yourself. You're putting your success and your ambitions over your overall health. And the thing is that your success and ambitions amount to a hill of beans if you're dead. You can't be a great parent if you're dead. You can't be a great CEO of a company if you're dead. You can't be a great dad if you're dead. You can't be great grandparents if you're dead. So, one of the things that I want y'all to really truly understand is that you have to put your health in priority. Too many times I see people just foregoing their health because of personal grievances, personal assumptions, and issues that aren't actually real, to essentially put themselves in a pine box early. Now, in one of my last videos, Bill Maher basically pointed out that you never see an obese 90-year-old. And again, I still have to agree with him on this, but there's more to the subject on this obesity epidemic that is in our country right now, and I want y'all to see exactly what it is. So we're gonna keep going. So the same obesity and education pattern occurred among non-Hispanic whites, non-Hispanic Black, and non-Hispanic women, and non-Hispanic white men. However, the difference were not at all statistically significant. So meaning, if you're white, if you're a white male, white female, black female, Hispanic female, there is no significant difference in your obesity rates because you're probably taking better care of yourself. However, among men, obesity prevalence was lower in the lowest and highest income groups compared with middle income groups. So that means if you're middle class, you're tending to be more obese than any other group of people. However, let's go back to the other paragraph. However, the difference not all statistically significant. Although the difference was not statistically significant among non-Hispanic black men, obesity prevalence increased with educational attainment, which means black men were getting lazy as we get more successful. So with that being said, researchers observed this pattern among non-Hispanic whites and Hispanic men. Obesity prevalence was higher in the highest income group than in the lowest income group among non-Hispanic black men. So again, the more successful black men get, the fatter we become. So we're not taking good care of ourselves because I sense a sense of entitlement because we've worked hard and we deserve to chill and we deserve to do what we want to do, and I'm too tired to do anything else when I get home. So I'm going to turn around and ask you this question. What happened to going early in the morning? I mean, what happened to going early in the morning? The problem is we are not dedicating ourselves to being around for the long haul. We are putting ourselves at risk for dying early. As a matter of fact, in the United States of America, black men are the most morbid in this country. We die the earliest amongst all races in the United States of America. There's no other race that dies earlier than us. If I'm not mistaken, let's take a look real quick and see exactly what that magic number is. So what I typed in is age of mortality in America based on race. What is the average death by race? So here we go. So across all racial ethnic groups, the average age is 77.3 years. Life expectancy for black people was only 71 years compared to 77.6 for white and 78.8 years for Hispanic people. Life expectancy was even lower for black males at only 68 years. 68 years is all we have. And part of the reason why we only get 68 years is because we don't take good care of ourselves. Also, violence and other factors are involved as well, but based on the information that we got from the CDC, it's clearly evident that we are not taking good care of ourselves as black men. So while we might make money and be more successful, especially with a higher degree of education, we are not taking good care of ourselves. So now let's go to childhood obesity facts. So let's go to that. So for children and adolescents aged 2 to 19 years. So basically anything between 2 to 19 years. The prevalence of obesity was 19.7% and affected about 14.7 million children and adolescents. Obesity prevalence was 12% among 2 to 5-year-olds, meaning just over 1/10 of all 2 to 5-year-olds are already obese, which means you're just feeding your kids garbage. Whole latent bunch of sugar. But again, are they really obese? Is the magic question. Are they really obese? Because if it's going by BMI, again, sometimes God gives us the materials before he gives us the plans. So just because your child is obese right now doesn't mean they're doomed to obesity later. Now, that doesn't mean that you just become complacent and think that that's what you're supposed to do, is just leave them alone. I mean, you are supposed to leave them alone, but you're not supposed to just let them not be active. And especially with our time in our lives right now, we are now more than ever becoming seriously sedentary. So from 6 to 11-year-olds, it increases another 10% to 22%. Among 12 to 19-year-olds, child obesity is more common among certain populations. So it was 12 to 2 to 5-year-olds, 20% among 6 to 11-year-olds, and 22% between 12 to 19-year-olds. So therefore, it jumps a whole almost 10% within the age group of 6 to 11-year-olds. And then once you hit adolescence, it jumps another 2%. Obesity prevalence was 26% amongst Hispanic children, 24% among non-Hispanic Black children, which is amazing. We're actually lower when we're children, which also lends to the fact that success is what causes our obesity. 16.6% among non-Hispanic white children, and 9% among non-Hispanic Asian children. So again, what we're looking at here is that what these two pictures tells me is that, and I'll let you read it real quick so that way you can see it. The statistics are right there. So what we're dealing with right now is we become the more successful we become, the lazier we get. The more struggle we go through, the less likely we are going to be obese. However, our education also helps our ability to make better choices for what we're doing. So, the question that I have for everybody is that, do you know whether or not you're obese? Truly know whether or not you're obese. Is there any possible way that you could possibly think or know that you're actually obese? Because some of us out here actually end up believing so much after hearing time after time after time that we're obese that we begin to believe it. And then when we begin to believe it, we then end up fulfilling a self-fulfilled prophecy. We end up becoming obese. And we have to learn how to discern information so that way we can actually make better judgment calls into what it is that we're dealing with. Because there's a lot of people out here that are naturally just simply large people. They're just large. Large is not an affront and a disrespectful terminology. It just means you're bigger than everyone else, or you're bigger than the average person. But that does not mean you're obese. That does not mean you're fat. It just means you're bigger, physically larger. Your muscle mass, you carry more muscle mass within the confines of your height. Now, with society telling you there's only 3 body types, I'm here to tell you there's 27. The 27 different body types accounts for 3 factors inside of the human body. That is your upper body, your lower body, and your height. So upper body, lower body. So you have your endomorph, ectomorph, and your mesomorph. And within that, you can be any one of those 3, upper body wise, lower body wise. And then you have to account for height, short, average, tall. When you combine all of those, you get 27 different body types. And those 27 different body types is the standard for all of us. We are within this, if we meet the standard of any one of those 27 different body types, this is the time for you to understand that we have the opportunity to make proper changes and measure up to the standard instead of making ourselves feel bad for being in the body that we're in. So, what I want y'all to do from here on out is do the due diligence, find out what your body fat percentage is. Like I said, if you're female and you're over 30%, you know you have some work to do. Fellas, if you're over 25%, you know you have some work to do. So I want y'all to understand that if these are the situations that you find yourself in, please, for the love of God, go get a trainer and get yourself into a gym and get yourself on a plan to getting you in shape. It can range from anywhere between 6 months to 3.5, 4, 5 years, depending on the severity of your obesity. I want you guys to do the hard work and look at yourself in the mirror and call yourself out for where you really are. Get those measurements done. I don't want y'all turning around and just looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm fat. I don't want you doing that. I want you to turn around and be able to say with absolute certainty, I'm healthy, I'm not healthy. This is what I need to do about it. I'm just fine with the way I am, so let me stay the course in doing what I'm doing. But if I ever do creep over into the obesity category, I know that I need to step back and get some help and do what is necessary in order for you to be the best. So, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Have a nice day. Be the best you.